Selling a personal trinket or an old piece of furniture can be nerve-wracking if you've never done it, but selling a big piece of machinery like a used car is a whole other ballgame. If you're looking to offload a vehicle but don't know how, we've got just the expert for you. Joining us on this Money Monday is Brian Moddy, executive editor for Autotrader magazine. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Thanks for joining us. You know, a lot of people, they buy cars, but then when they're ready to sell them, not knowing who their customer is going to be can be rather scary. So first of all, what would you recommend for someone who's got this car that they want to sell? What would be the best place to list it?
Well, I think the first thing is to ask yourself, do I want to sell my own car at all? I think that's the first question to ask. Or do I want to just go trade it in someplace? Some dealerships will allow you to trade your car in even if you aren't buying another one, and some, obviously, many will if you are buying a car. So you have to decide if you're the kind of person that wants to sell the car yourself. You can make a little bit of extra money, but that's going to cost you in terms of time and preparation, and it's not free. Like, you're going to have to do some stuff to make sure that that car is ready and appears before the proper audience.
What would you say are the most common mistakes people make when they do sell their cars?
Well, not cleaning it is the first one. I recently went to go buy a car for my 18-year-old son, and we were just buying a cheap used car. And even he said, an 18-year-old boy said, "Dad, couldn't they have just like wiped the leaves off or something?" So not cleaning it is another thing. Another thing that people don't do is they don't take out their stuff. So just like with a home, right? Like, you don't always want to leave your family stuff up when you're selling your home because it feels like it's your home. You want them to picture themselves in your car and driving it away. So take out your I Love Hawaii air freshener or whatever you have. That's adorable, but that's not, for the next person. They're not going to take that with them.
How about bumper stickers? Speaking of which,
no,
a lot of people put
no on the bumper stickers. Just get rid of them, because
do they come off? I've never put one on my car before.
You can get them off. So what you should do is just take all that stuff off, because you want it to look as generic as possible. And again, them picturing themselves in your car, not them picturing themselves driving a car down the road that says, Reagan 84 or whatever it is.
Unless you're into vintage things, of course.
Unless that could be true, yes.
And a Reagan supporter on top of that.
Yes.
But with, advertising, so back in the day, when people read newspapers, they would often put cars in the want ads or Autotrader magazine.
Sure.
Everything's gone online now. People use eBay. They use all kinds of online platforms. However, it seems like you're opening yourself up to more scams. So how do you correctly, safely list something online?
Well, you can try a variety of tactics. So first of all, I'm going to say Autotrader is a good resource. So Autotrader is where I work, but it is a good resource because Autotrader is in the business of doing that thing that we're talking about, right? That's what they do. There are other platforms where if you want to, and it's free, go ahead and put your car on those platforms as well. Now, you might not get the same quality of traffic, but whatever, it didn't cost you anything. So make sure that you're putting your car, listing it on a site that's going to be able to surface your car in the appropriate place. Make sure you use lots of pictures of the inside, pictures of the outside. And this is going to sound counterintuitive, but if there is something damaged, let's say like a dent or a broken taillight, take a picture of that and include that in the photography that you use to sell the car. You might want to fix it if it's cheap enough, because if you had to spend $100 to sell your car, I would do it. But if you can't fix it, if it's too expensive, take a picture, and then at least it has the impression that, hey, you're being honest and upfront. This car is not perfect, but it's pretty good.
Excellent advice. We do need to take a break here, but when we come back, I do want to ask you about what you just brought up, money, and the best way to do that transaction. So let's do that in 2 minutes. We'll be right back. Welcome back on this Money Monday. We're talking about selling your own car, and we would like to reintroduce Brian Moddy. He's executive editor for Autotrader magazine. Let's talk about money, because how do you know you're not getting fake bills? How do you know the cashier's check is legit? What are some of the safest ways to do the actual financial transaction?
Right. So for most people, something to keep in mind is that you're more prone to that kind of thing if you just take cash. And that usually means a lower priced car. So let's just say that you're selling a $10,000 car. That's a decent price for a used car. Even $6,000 or $7,000, you can get a good used car for that much money. That's a lot of money to be carrying around. If you're selling a $500 car, probably there's 100 people on the street that could just pull out $500. The higher the price, the less likely you're going to be dealing with that. So one thing you can do is you can ask for a cashier's check or a money order. You can ask to go to the bank. In fact, if you have a car that hasn't been paid off yet, probably you're going to have some kind of bank transaction to begin with, because the bank's going to have to take the new buyer's money, pay off the old loan, and then put it, now it's going to be put into their name. So there's a lot of different things to consider, mainly the price of your car. How do you want to be paid? And do you want to take a personal check? It's not advisable, but if you want to take a personal check and you know the person, that's probably okay. But maybe go to the bank with them and say, hey, I want to cash this right now and make sure that it's good. And if they're on the up and up, that shouldn't be a problem. They'll gladly go to the bank with you so that they can drive away in their new car.
And this is also advice for people who are the buyers, and that is if someone's saying, I'm selling you this car, and they don't just run off with your money.
Right. That's exactly right. So there's risk on both sides.
There is.
For me, I wouldn't feel comfortable going someplace with $10,000 cash in my pocket.
Sure.
And not only that, but remember, if we're doing this kind of a transaction that you're speaking of, there's a group of people, at least one, who knows you're coming with that money. That doesn't sound to me like a situation that I'd want to be in. So again, that's why, depending on where you advertise the car, the price of the car, where you do it, all of those things can really affect the safety of what you're doing. I wouldn't have a problem walking into a police station with $10,000. I'm almost 100% certain they're not going to take it from me once I walk in, unless I have like traffic tickets or something like that, but I don't. So I'm not worried about that. But out in the middle of nowhere, I don't know.
That is a good point. How about bringing a buddy, just to have some moral support there?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think having a companion with you, especially if you're the buyer, I think it's, when you're the seller, you kind of know what you have, and maybe you're going to need a ride anyway if you're going to actually do the transaction. I think having more people there can be helpful. Also, another thing I would do is, wherever you're going to go, let someone know that you're going there. So tell your spouse, tell your kids, tell your neighbor, tell your buddy, whatever it is, say, hey, I'm going to go at 2. I'm going to go down to this place and meet someone just in case.
Yeah. I think that's excellent advice. I want to thank you so much, Brian, for joining us today. Autotrader Magazine, how many years now has it been in publication?
Many, and we've been online since 1997.
It's amazing. You have an incredible history there. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
You.
Really appreciate that. We're back after this.